For the past year now, I've made my podcast with a company called Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First, it's free. That's right, it doesn't cost you anything to make your own podcast. They have creation tools that allow you to record and edit your own podcast right from the computer or your own phone. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and every other place. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. It's really easy. You'll have your podcast up and running in no time. Go to Anchor. Welcome to episode 58 of Beer in Front. I thank everyone for listening. I have a great show lined up this week. I sat down a few days ago and talked with the women from the Bills and Brews Babes website and Instagram feed, and I'll have that for you coming up in just a little bit. That was a fun talk. They have a great website where if you're ever going to the upstate New York or Buffalo area, definitely check that out. They list all of the breweries that they go to and the tap rooms and rate them based on the food, the beer, the service, and everything. It's a really good resource if you're going to that area. The Beer in Front this week is one I'm very excited about. I'm finally going to have Heady Topper from the Alchemist. This is one I've always wanted to try. I've never been able to get my hands on it. I thank my good friend Ben who hooked me up with this last week. Now Ben and my other friend Dave, we kind of had our own barrel-aged festival last week where we shared all the barrel-aged beers we've accumulated in the last year. We had those and we did a beer exchange, so I got hooked up with the Hedy Topper and I'm going to have that. We also did a remote recording. Now, we did this on a rooftop, so there'll be a little background noise. The three of us, we had the Goose Island Birthday Bourbon County Stout. That'll be coming up also. Now, I can't give out all of the details yet, but in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to have a very exciting guest on. I'm looking forward to this. It's a cool project. It's a good guest. I can't really say everything right now because the details are being finalized, but in my opinion, this should be really cool. A big step forward for the Little Beer in Front show. All right, let's just stop with all this nonsense in the intro and let's get on with the show, shall we? Welcome back to Beer in Front. I'm very happy to have on Krista, Elizabeth, and Tiffany from the Bills and BrewsBabes.com website, and they're also on Instagram. Ladies, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
Good.
I'm excellent, thank you. I see you're all having a lovely cocktail in front of you. Now, you said you were at a brewery. Which brewery are you at?
Right after work, we ran to Windy Brew in Strikersville.
Okay.
They're a very small brewery. It's at someone's house, actually. Those
Okay.
are our favorite ones to go to where you don't think you should go in, but you end up going in and it's the greatest.
So can you tell me and like the people that listen to my show about you, like how you got started? Have you been lifelong friends? So if you can give everyone like a little background upon you and the website.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think in September of last year, the three of us, we've all known each other kind of our entire lives through different avenues. We all grew up really, really close to each other. But we decided to just start going to breweries in the Western New York area. And we didn't realize that there was like 75 of them. So we're like, wow, this is a little bit bigger of a journey than we thought initially. Like we honestly thought maybe like 20. So we decided to kind of just create a blog and an Instagram to kind of showcase our journey, and to also see like what the tea is, if you say, about each brewery. So we rate them on 6 different criteria. And yeah, it's just been a really cool experience. We've met a ton of cool people. We've learned a lot about beer, and like just different aspects of beer and brewing and owning breweries. And we're always just listening and wanting to talk to people to see what they can just kind of lend us. And then, the bills are a huge part of our lives. I think that's like a part right now that kind of isn't seen as much. But yeah, we're really excited in the fall to be incorporating the bills back into this as much as we can. I mean, Sundays for all of us are really important days to spend with each other watching the game or with our families and having beer. So I think it's just that culmination of all three of that.
Now, I mean, obviously last year, you couldn't go to the games outside of the last game of the year or maybe the playoff game. But do you normally go to the games? Are you throwing people on top of folding chairs when you're tailgating? What are you girls doing here?
Yeah, so actually two of us, Liz and I, went to Tennessee for one game last year. None of us were able to get playoff tickets. We were not able. It was a very selective process, unfortunately. But with that being said, in a normal season, I think we go anywhere from like 3 to 6-ish games.
Yeah. Okay.
We've been trying to go to like different stadiums every year as well. We've been to, I think 3 now, Tennessee and Baltimore are the 2 big ones that I can think of. But yeah, no jumping in tables for the 3 of us yet.
All right.
Yeah, is the key word, but maybe in the future. But yeah, it's a good time. Anyone that we meet, I think the Bills tailgates are, it's their own world, but it's a really fun experience. It's very welcoming and just like one big family. So
I have a 1999 Suburban that we take to all the games and we tailgate out of the back of there. And we normally don't drink fancy beers when we're there, but we have a beer or 2 and it's a good time, and more people, the better.
Like the tailgating is legendary. I think all around the NFL, we hear about the tailgating that goes on and certain things that shouldn't go on, but you see the
never us.
Yeah, it's like a wrestling match outside with the folding tables and people being thrown on there. Now, is it just Bills? Are you Sabres fans, or maybe just not this year?
I mean, all we can really do is laugh at that question. Yeah, I think we'd all affiliate ourselves with the Sabres. I mean, Buffalo and this just general Western New York region is obviously very important to us. We all grew up here in a really, really small town, stoplight, like very in the country. So I think part of this whole journey has been giving back. So yeah, I think when it comes to the Sabres or hockey in general, we would cheer for them. We don't keep up with it as much as we do football. I mean, I think we just know more about football. We grew up in a small town with a football team. Like, it's just been a part of our lives in a different way. But yeah, I mean, I think that there's talk of the Blue Jays coming to Buffalo for another season, and I could totally see us going and cheering them on as like a hometown team as well. So yeah, I think the answer is we're Sabres fans, but not first. So we're Bills fans first, for sure. Yeah,
definitely.
Now, Tiffany, how has it been? And because you said you started this last year, how has it been with the pandemic? Is everything fully open? Is it still kind of how's everything going with the pandemic?
It's kind of in the middle right now.
Okay.
A lot of breweries aren't open at all, and some are just limited capacity, masks, and all of that. I actually had COVID, so I couldn't go to the Bills playoffs game, but my brother-in-law got tickets and he went, so that was pretty cool. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we try to go to as many breweries as we can that are open. It's definitely limited though.
Yeah. Now, are there plans, like Elizabeth, or do you prefer Liz? I'm sorry.
Whatever you want to call me. Just don't call me late for dinner.
Yes. All right, Elizabeth. Like with the website and the blog, do you have any plans for 2021 when things reopen? Are you going to go to more places?
As of right now, we've gone to about 30 breweries. We're going to keep pushing along and trying to go as many as possible. We hope to expand in the fall a little bit more, have a little bit more plan to incorporate the Bills more. Mm-hmm. We might try a beer from the city that they're playing, or a Bills theme beer. Yeah, we're just going to keep pushing forward and go to as many of these breweries as possible. We want to try to go to a couple, maybe out of the area a couple times a year, and maybe go on a girls' weekend someplace. But that's where we're headed right now.
Well, I think the girls' weekend was the Nashville trip for you three. Yeah. All right. And Krista, what's with the Zubas?
I mean, they're beautiful, right?
They're really
I had some
too.
back in the day, yes. But...
Yeah, it's really interesting. We went on a wormhole probably 2 years ago or a couple years ago about Zubas. And I mean, I personally didn't know that they were like a thing that everyone kind of had in the late 80s for all teams, right? And then, I don't know, that's the most Buffalo thing is that they just like attached this one really odd thing and it was Zubas. But yeah, it's a fun thing. It's something that really like identifies people from Buffalo and the Bills Mafia.
And it's fashionable. You can wear sweatpants to games and be fashionable.
Yeah.
It's great.
And they're comfortable. They're really comfortable. So it's fun and there's no shame in wearing them. I think sometimes if you're not like extra Bills Mafia attire wearing, like you're like the odd one out, really.
Okay.
Yeah, so welcoming. But yeah, Zubas. We all have some Zubas in our lives.
Yeah. I had them back in the day. And then once, we hammered out the date that I was going to have you on. So I'm trying to find some, and there was no way I could get it shipped in time. But I'm like, they make these now, and they make leggings. I mean, they're still kicking around.
Overalls, yeah.
Now, the beers that you're drinking now, it looks like everyone's drinking a different one. Can you tell us about the beers that you're drinking right now?
Well, I'm drinking a stout. It's a coconut peanut butter stout.
Okay.
5.8%. It just came out today. It's very good. It's not too coconutty, which is good. It's more peanut buttery, but I enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of coconut, I'm having right now from Southern Tier out in upstate New York. This is their Nitro Coconut Truffle Imperial Milk Stout. And if you like coconut, you will like this because, like I said earlier, this is like literally like drinking a Mounds bar. And it's a 10%er.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm drinking a delicious blueberry wheat ale. If I can get a blueberry beer, I always pick that. It's a lot darker than I thought it was going to be, but it's very good. It's not super blueberry-y. It's more ale, but it's definitely got the hint of the blueberry in there.
Is it more of a sweet beer or like a tart beer or sour?
A sweet beer.
Okay.
I'm not very into the tartness, so it's a sweet beer.
Okay.
And I'm having their Solar Winds, which is a jalapeno pineapple cream ale. Yeah, I'm actually pretty impressed. Definitely smells like jalapeno. Like if you were to smell this beer, that is overwhelmingly the scent. But it's not too strong. It's not spicy. And I think the pineapple really balances it out. It's definitely drinkable, but not something you'd maybe want more than one of at a time.
Yeah, you're not going to like buy a whole growler of that to knock that off tonight.
No.
Yeah. All right. So I do thank you for coming on. It was nice to talk to you. Can you tell everybody where they could find you? I mean, I mentioned before the website, which is billsandbrewsbabes.com. Can you talk about your Insta, anywhere else they could find you or anything else you want people to know?
Yeah, absolutely. We have the website. It's up and running. It's updated usually every week with a new blog post focusing on a brewery. If you want to get in contact with us sooner, I think Instagram is definitely where our presence is right now at Bills _brews_babes. And that's also linked on the website. We are posting a few times a week right now. We interact with our followers and the people that are on Instagram. We've done a giveaway or we're in the process of that. We're planning to do that more, hoping to get some merch in the summer to fall. So I think I would say Instagram and the website is definitely where we are right now. But to look for other expansions into other platforms in the future, because it's definitely something that we're working on.
Well, yes. And the website is really cool. And for those listening, I'll put it on the show notes so you can go there. But if anyone is interested in going to the Buffalo area, I would definitely check their website out at billsandbrewsbabes.com because they do a great job. Every place they list, there's photos. They talk about the place, the service, the food, the quality of the food, the beer. It's a really good resource if you're going to the Buffalo area and you want to try out a brewery or a place. Definitely check that website out.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yes. No problem, ladies. Well, thanks again, and we will see you down the road. Today's podcast is presented by Podgo. Podgo is the easiest way for you to monetize your podcast, providing podcasters with a flat rate for ad space, so you always know how much you get when you include an ad from Podgo. Apply today to become a member and immediately be connected with advertisers that fit your audience. That's podgo.co, podgo.co. And be sure to include my podcast, Beer in Front, in the How Did You Hear About Podgo section of the application. Some of the beers that we had at our barrel-aged fest. The first one we had was just, didn't do that much for me. It was from Ballast Point, their Piper Down bourbon barrel-aged. This was a Scottish ale, 9%. It wasn't a horrible beer by any stretch, just, it wasn't that great. Didn't do a lot for me. One that I really liked, though, was from Central Waters. This is the Brewers Reserve Vanilla Cherry. This was excellent. You really added the cherry out of this. You had the vanilla. Wonderful, like everything that Central Waters does. One that was really good, this was a blonde ale from Cruz Blanca called Loco Dinero. This was terrific. Really enjoyed that one. If you see that one, pick it up. And I know we had one that you won't see. We had the 2004 Christmas Ale from Anchor Brewing Company. Now in 17 years, it lost a little something, but it definitely had the taste of the Anchor Christmas beer, just, lost some carbonation over 17 years. So we dug deep and pulled out a vintage one of those. So here's our review right now of the Goose Island Birthday Stout. All right, welcome back to Beer in Front. We are outside on a roof deck in the city on a beautiful day here, and we are having the Goose Island Birthday Bourbon County Stout. This is aged in 2019 Old Forester birthday bourbon barrels. My buddy Benny here hooked us up with this. I'm sitting here with Benny and Dave.
Hi,
and
guys.
This is a really good beer.
Yeah, it's definitely
Wow.
among the tops I've had.
I mean, everything about this is killer. I mean, obviously, the color. I mean, it's a barrel-aged stout, so you can't see through it, but it's got a nice head on it. Aroma's really good. The
Dave,
taste...
Are you good enough in your bourbons where you can taste Old Forester?
Dude, no.
No?
Dude, let's not be ridiculous here. But no, this is outstanding. This is the Goose Island Birthday Bourbon County brand stout. Excellent. Now, according to the box, because I've already had a couple barrel aged and I can't decipher anything, that this one is one of their most sought after releases, the birthday bourbon. Now this says, so this was aged in the Old Forester bottles that was at 105 proof, and this is the highest proof to date for that release. The notes of oak spice and blackcurrant, coupled with hints of maple, caramel cake, and white floral.
Caramel cake.
I don't know. I taste bourbon, but this is really good. So if you ever see this anywhere, pick it up. This is the Goose Island Bourbon County Stout in collaboration with Old Forester. Oh, that was a fun time talking about the bourbon beers upstairs on the roof deck the other night. Yeah, used a cheap microphone up there. I didn't want to bring anything fancy up there since I knew we were going to be drinking a lot, as you could tell by me reviewing that beer. But that was a fun time. All right, the beer that's in front of me tonight is Heady Topper from the Alchemist. Heady Topper is an American double India Pale Ale. Now, this beer is meant to be consumed fresh, which this one is, and also it says right there, drink straight out of the can. Doing a little research on there, they say right on the website, if you must pour this in a glass, you aren't going to get all of the aromas out of it that you would out of the can. So I'm going to follow their instructions and pop this one open and drink it straight from the can. Well, usually at this point in the show, I would tell you about the color, but it's in the can. So you don't get a lot of aroma. You definitely get some, but It's not as much, if it was in an open container, an open glass, but the taste is, wow, this is phenomenal. God, that is really, it just hits you. I mean, I think it says on the can, like, it's supposed to be wave after wave of the hop flavor, and that's a pretty accurate description. The taste is just, all of these hops just hit you in the mouth. It is outstanding. God, it's hard to describe the flavors that you get from here. I'm getting a little dankness from this. I get a little citrus, but not a lot. I mostly get more of the piney taste to it. It's really good. You also get, maybe after these waves of hops hit you, there's some sweetness there from the malt itself. It says it has 75 IBUs, and yeah, there's definitely a little bitterness on the back end of your tongue, but it's nothing that's overpowering at all. Letting this one warm up a little bit, now I'm starting to get more of the fruitiness out of the hops. I get a little citrus, maybe pineapple. I'm not quite sure, but no, there's definitely, as this warms up, I get more of the fruitiness flavors from the hops on this one. I can't say this enough, how wonderful this beer is. I'm glad I finally was able to have this. I thank from the bottom of my heart my good friend Ben for hooking me up with this. This is Heady Topper from the Alchemist. Find it, take a road trip to Vermont, pick it up. This is outstanding. Oh, there were plenty of them this week. Let's get right to them. Here are your Jaguars of the Week. Ben Shapiro. Now, he's a conservative darling who has his own who doesn't have a podcast? I have a podcast, so everybody has a podcast. But Ben Shapiro, he shares a video of himself at Home Depot. I can't even say it. It's just so funny just looking at this picture. But he shares a picture. He went to Home Depot after leaders in Georgia called for a boycott of the company after they don't really want to condemn the state's new voting law. So Ben has this picture of himself going to Home Depot to show support for Home Depot. And he buys one wood plank and he has it in a plastic bag. Listen, I am not a handyman. Light bulb changing is probably the extent of my handiness. But I have purchased more lumber at Home Depot than you have, Ben. You literally have one plank. So you went to Home Depot to buy one, and the plank looks like maybe 2 feet long by 8 inches, and you wrap it up in a bag because you don't want your little hands to get splintered. Ben, you're a jag-off. One plank. I haven't talked about Josh Hawley in a couple weeks, so we'll get him for 2 things. There was a COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act that passed the Senate 94-1. Who doesn't vote for it? Josh Hawley. Josh, I'm not done with you, but you're a jag-off for this. And the best is that, he puts out a couple days ago that the woke mob, once again, your dog whistle may not work right. Just say the word you want to say, Josh. Just stop being a clown about it. But the woke mob is pressuring Simon & Schuster to cancel more books. He puts this out on Twitter about his book. The book is called The Tyranny of Big Tech. But he talks about this book on Twitter. Twitter's big tech. He puts a link to buy the book on Amazon. That Amazon's big tech. And he tweets this out from his iPhone. Apple's big tech? Josh, I don't think you understand big tech. Jag off. Marjorie Taylor Greene tweets out that she's glad she ran into AOC because she wants to debate her on the Green New Deal. Now, she says, after I finish reading all 14 pages, I'll schedule time for our debate. It's 14 pages, Marjorie. You don't have to be Evelyn Wood to read this. You can get it done. Jag off. Congressman Dan Crenshaw said initially that if the Biden administration wants to impress us, double the goal, say 200 million vaccines in 100 days, then he'll be impressed. Danny, there were 200 million vaccines in 92 days, and all we get out of you are crickets. Jag off. Florida State Senator Dennis Baxley, he's introducing a bill to criminalize handing water bottles to voters. And while he's doing this, one of his aides hands him a bottle of water. Dennis, you're a jagoff. Sorry, Moira was just tapping me, wanting me to give her attention instead of calling people jagoffs. But I'm still going to. The Daily Mail ran an article totally lying, and they were connecting Biden's climate plan to not eating red meat. Well, everyone ran with this. Lauren Boebert, that Mensa member, Donald Trump Jr. has to tweet something about it, and other people saying that, Biden doesn't want you to eat red meat. Nothing ever was said about this, but the Daily Mail ran an article, everyone picked it up and ran with it, but yet no one's retracting it. So you're all a bunch of jagoffs. Alaska Airlines has banned Alaska State Senator Laura Reinbold from flying because she continues to refuse to comply with employee instructions regarding the mask policy. She's a clown. She just wants her name in the papers. She's a moth to the flame. But there's only one airline that flies between Juneau and Anchorage. That's Alaska. So for her to get to her meetings, she now has to take a ferry trip that could take several days. Well, at least you don't have to wear a mask on the Love Boat, Laura. Jag off. Fox News host Larry Kudlow, he's raging, he's upset because Biden's climate plan will force Americans to drink, his words, not mine, plant-based beer. Larry, what did you think? What do you think is in beer? Meat? Now, someone might have thought of it and probably will, but what did you... Plant-based, it's all plant-based beer, you idiot. Jagoff. Oh, but the winner to Jagoff of the week is a man from Kingston, New Hampshire. Now, he was excited that this man and his wife were having a baby. So they want to do a gender reveal party. So he gets this explosion to happen that rattled homes for a 20-mile radius. People's stuff was going off the walls. It was insane. 20 miles away, people felt this gender reveal party. He had enough explosives, I don't know, but it's a boy. Jag off. That's going to wrap things up for this week's Beer in Front. I do want to thank Krista, Elizabeth, and Tiffany from the BillsandBrewsBabes.com website. You could also follow them on Instagram. I definitely recommend checking out the website, checking out their Instagram feed if you're ever going to the Buffalo, upstate, Western New York area. Check them out. Thanks again for coming on. I want to thank my friend Ben for hooking me up with the phenomenal Hedy Topper, and I will see everyone next week. Thank you.